What's up, guys? Back again. This is the boss here, and today we're going to talk about what's the difference between commercial real estate, Airbnb, and long-term rental. I did them both, or all three of them, and I can tell you the difference in them. But before I get to there, let me do a disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, guys. I'm not a business consultant. I don't get paid to do this for a living. I just do it because I enjoy making YouTube videos. So, like, subscribe, but don't come at me and get mad at me because you follow something on here. Because you should always go to talk to a lawyer or accountant on how to handle your money, because money can get very complicated, guys. Everything has a proper structure it needs to be in. Alright, now, short and sweet, let's get into what is real estate. Real estate is just a property you're investing in to get a renter or get someone into the real estate or into a place where they're paying your mortgage for you. There's commercial and there's residential. Now, there's good and bad about both of them, but I'm going to let you know commercial is good, but when it goes vacant, those places go vacant for a very long time. And it's very hard to fill up commercial properties because you have to find business to put in them, and they have to be reliable businesses to put into a commercial real estate, because the legal matters you have to go through to get them out of a commercial web to a normal real estate one to a residential is two different ball games. So there's different aspects of it, and it's just commercial real estate. Is it worth it? I think it is, but you have to pick real estate, that commercial real estate like hotels and big box storefront stores, that you know that you're buying it for the location and nothing else. Because in that aspect, it's location. Is there business to keep it alive? Is there enough foot traffic? And that's commercial real estate. Now, if we're going to talk about residential real estate is real easy. It's residential. It's where people live at. It's not really a business, for say. And I saw that cool business model with Airbnb coming out, and I tried it too. And there's a difference between all three of them. All three, Airbnb business, long-term rental, and commercial real estate, are three separate categories, and they should be. Because commercial real estate and residential is pretty understood. It's one for business and one is for regular residential, people stay, and vacation homes. Now, the issues we have was the third category that we added was Airbnb. Now, the Airbnb business, it is right there, business. Now people's feelings get hurt. Now the cleaning fees, and Airbnb was doing fine whenever it was just renting out a room to a college student. But once it started everyone trying to make it a business, it's where the issue came about. Because not everyone should be running a business. Airbnb should have been very, very selective of some of these people who were renting out, And the people who are the homeowners should have done a better job at making sure it's proper, adequate for someone to stay. Now, there's two sides of the coin on that one, but in hindsight 2020, which three would I, out of those three, which one would I go with? I'm keeping long-term rentals because the Airbnb model is too cyclical. That's the con for it. And the issue with commercial real estate is it takes such a long time to find someone to fill an office space, to fill XYZ, because it costs you more money to advertise it than just keeping the tenant there, and instead of increasing their rates at a enormous rate. I don't know how to put it, but people have been going crazy with how much they want to charge for their properties. But out of those three, which one would you prefer? If you had to do Airbnb, commercial, or residential? Long term, not Airbnb business, because that gray area business, depending on what state you're in, it makes it harder. Because the state of Texas, they will protect your business with the law enforcement for Airbnb, but now it's a gray area because it's a residential. So some police stations might not be adequate to handle these situations because, police stations are regional and trained for a specific case scenario for the region. They're going to go to a business and treat it like a business should be treated. Now, when you go in a residential area, you have more cameras on you, more XYZ. Now they're playing it safer, but when people have cameras put on them, they act stupid and not themselves. It doesn't make sense, guys. I act the same on camera and off camera. So, if you want to meet me, cool. If not, it is what it is. But just remember, when people know they're being recorded, some reason they act stupider. And I don't know why. And we see that in residential real estate all the time. Whenever cops come up and they start seeing cameras pulled out, everyone wants their 5 seconds or 5 minutes of fame on TV, I guess. So they'll start acting a fool around the cops just to try to get famous too. So I don't know what Airbnb is going to do, but that's a hard area to be in right now. They are not able to verify all their guests properly. So Airbnb isn't, and this is some of the cons that I experienced. Not anyone else that I know of. I experienced that Airbnb don't really fully refund you for broken items. Cleaning fees aren't actually priced if you want to take it into a business level, because no one's going to show up to your house and clean up your whole house for $60. And that's what the people need to understand who's renting out your house, that no one's going to clean a whole house if you leave it in a mess for $60 to $120, because they want their own business too, because it's an Airbnb business. The only way you can get away with it is you own hotels, and then you run a hotel model for your Airbnb. So is Airbnb going to be the new startup for people who want to get into the hotel chain? I think that's the only option that I can think of now. Airbnb might have bridged the gap for that. But for a normal investor and trying to grow an Airbnb, I don't think it's worth it. And then you have to remember, I tried all of the real estate market, and I sat in on them. And by far my favorite is a long-term renter because those houses don't really stay empty very long compared to a commercial real estate. Because the place that I used to rent out for Rush Hour Biomedical is still available, and I've been out of it for a year. So they've been paying that place for a whole year for commercial real estate. You know, unless you have old money you can pay off it in cash, that right there showed me, hey, commercial real estate isn't going up and it's not getting filled as fast as people expected. But houses in Houston, man, they're still flying off the shelf. I mean, they might stay 15, 30 days, but before the pandemic, they stayed 1 day. And now, 15, 30 days, that's about average. So it looks like the Houston housing market is an average market right now. So that's good for everyone. Hopefully people can start buying real estate because eventually they're going to get outpriced whenever the interest rate is too low. Because when everyone can afford real estate, is when real estate market skyrocket. The best time to capitalize on buying is when everyone can't afford real estate. Or this is the best time for people who have great credit, have good down payments to get a decent house. Not at a great discount, of course, because it's Houston and it's never that big of a discount, but you can refinance in 3 to 5 years if you can afford the payment right now and drop your interest rate then to 2%. But once it's at 2%, you might not be able to afford that house that you're looking at right now. I'm going to be honest with you, because the house pricing does not go up correlate with your salary increase. Everyone is complaining about salary increase and it's not keeping up with housing prices. It's because now you have to time yourself with your income to buy a house when you can buy a house. So you should buy a house when you can buy a house at an affordable price and worry about the interest rate whenever you become an investor. I mean, if you worry about interest rate before you are an investor, you don't even have a house you're living in. Who's going to take you serious? So think about that, guys. Before y'all start being hypocritical, do you own a house before you start talking about interest rate? Because if you own a house, you can start talking about interest rate because you're currently paying an interest rate. Currently, I'm paying a 2.75% on a house that I'm living in. So why would I ever think about refinancing? But if you're at 7%, you can then talk about interest rate and keep an eye on it to get your payment down. That's part of the home buying process. Everyone has to remember, you can't be a perfectionist. If you're a perfectionist trying to buy houses, you'll never get a house. Just because you don't like one little thing on the house does not mean not to buy the house, guys. Because unless you build your custom-made house, you're not going to get everything you want in your house. Everyone has to come to realization that has money is these houses are already here. It's either you like them or you build your own house, but you can't rely on interest rate anymore. So take your time, look for a house. But I'm telling you right now, if you're going to look for a house, and which 3 would I get into for investment? Long-term rentals. That's always been the safest bet. What's some of the cons for Airbnb. If you don't know how to run a business, you can't run your Airbnb business. Um, it's in the name. It's an Airbnb business. So it's not a passive income. It's actually a lot of work. So people actually lie to y'all. Airbnb is a lot of work, even if you try to outsource everything. It's not worth the return unless you get the house for still. It's 100% paid off cash house. You know, those are two exceptions that I see is worth it. And just commercial real estate, when I sat in it and pay attention to it, some of these places go vacant for way too long. A whole year, 2 years. So the safest bet that I say out of the three is long-term residential. That's my opinion, guys. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. It's based off my experience. I own one real estate in each one of those sectors for over 2-3 years to see which one I'll end up liking. And yeah, long-term residential, paid off house, no problem. Other ones, borrowing money for it, I gotta agree with Dave Ramsey. If you're trying to do Airbnb, that is not very smart. So yeah, I have to agree with Dave Ramsey on it. Don't borrow money on real estate. It's a very harsh niche area. So either you have a very, very big down payment, or you get the house for a great steal and you can rent it out. Those are the only two exceptions I can see. I mean, if you buy a $300,000 house with $150,000 down, and you can rent it out for $4,000 a month, and your mortgage a month is $1,000, yeah, I can see you borrow money for that. But borrowing money for $100-$200 is not worth it, guys. Just save your money, because you can actually make a bigger return in the stock market if you just wait it out there with the money. Because $100-$200 really don't add up whenever you add in the. I'm agree with Dave Ramsey. When you add in that one AC repair, that cost you $10,000, $5,000, that eat up your whole year or two income. So yeah, Airbnb business, is it worth it? Only if you can get it at a good steal, guys. All right, later.